stories keep coming on this Football Friday. College football, a developing story. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan, the coach negotiating a 4-game suspension for recruiting violations that date back to the COVID recruiting dead period. Yesterday, Harbaugh addressing the media for the first time since the news of this looming suspension.
Not allowed to talk about any aspect of that ongoing situation. And I'm with you. I mean, I'd love to lay it all out there. Nothing to be ashamed of, and but now is not that time.
Now is not the time, but this is the time to bring in Heather and Paul for the very latest. Heather, I'll start with you. Give us a sense here. When should we expect to hear this official on Harbaugh? Is there any question he's going to be suspended the first 4 games?
Well, it certainly seems to be trending in that direction, Greeny. I think the big picture here is, does it really matter? Because their non-conference schedule is so easy. I can tell you that CFP Executive Director Bill Hancock said that the selection committee certainly pays attention to whether or not coaches and players are on the sideline, but they don't think about why. So whether or not he is remains to be seen, but my guess is that's probably how it's going to shake out.
And Paul, you have been in the impossible position of siding with and defending Jim Harbaugh over the last few days after the comments yesterday. Are you still there?
That ends right now, Greeny. Greeny, I think what he should have done was tell the truth and say, this is what happened. What was the NCAA going to do to him at this point? Were they going to dock him his right to have vanilla or chocolate chip cookie at training camp? It really didn't matter. He came off well. He didn't hurt himself. I appreciate that, but I frankly would have liked to have seen him go much farther.
Yeah, so let's just leave that there for the moment. The Harbaugh thing is what it is. We were told yesterday he's going to be allowed to coach the team all week during those 4 weeks. It's not like he'll be completely banished from everything for a month, which would have had, I think, a greater impact. So let's dive into what I think is the really important story here. Yesterday, the Colorado Board of Trustees approved that school's move from the Pac-12 back to the Big 12. I say it that way because they used to be in that conference. And so, Heather, what this has brought up, I mean, everywhere I go, the conversations around this are, does this feel like another step towards a world in which we will just have 2 or 3 super conferences and there will be nothing more than that?
I'm not going to go there quite yet, Greeny, because if you listen to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, he will talk about how, first of all, the SEC, in his opinion, is already a super conference. But when you get bigger than 16, there are a whole lot of other factors that go into it that he says haven't even really been played out publicly, except for in his mind, really. So when you think about this, right now, the ACC is in 3rd place. This is what this is all about, the fight for 3rd place behind the Big Ten and the SEC. Before we talk about super conferences, I think we have to figure out what the Big 12, Pac-12 situation is going to look like. And the bottom line here is that the Pac-12 is in the most precarious position that a conference has been in a while. So what happens next to them? They had a meeting last night. Nothing much came out of it, but I would expect that whatever happens next is going to happen fairly quickly in the next week or so. Is Arizona going to leave? Arizona State? What do Oregon and Washington want to do? My sense is the Big 12's ideal number is 14 right now for a football schedule. At the end of the day, when the dust settles with OU and Texas leaving, the 4 schools that they added, and then Colorado coming, they'll have 13. So who else can they add that truly adds value? And are there more schools than one more who want to escape the Pac-12? But I think the super conference thing, Greeny, is ways off and just a little bit more of a talking point than a reality, at least right now.
All right, and so, Paul, I'll give you the final word. Heather just said that no conference has ever been in a more precarious position than the Pac-12 is. How do you see it for the Pac-12 right now?
You may as well administer the Pac-12 last rites, Greeny. I mean, it's over. And I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about next year when they lose USC, when Dion goes to the Big 12. There's really nothing left. And you can argue, oh, there's quality games. But this league has no longer has any relevance on the national stage without USC and losing Colorado. And by the way, they may lose more. So, they can continue playing football. Good for them, but they will no longer be a Power 5 conference, in my opinion.
The times are changing in college football. Heather and Paul, always outstanding. Guys, have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.